Christ. He says that he will be gone forever, even if I was the one who did it or wasn't the one who buried Paul, and he sees that I will be gone forever and you never see me again. He's just trying to save his own skin. But his meaning says, "Oh no, my sister, don't reject me. Please let me die beside you, consecrating the dead together," on page 1484. And then again, don't look at the century for his title, but look at him for who he is. He's a man, but he's still trying to save his own skin. But yet the woman wants to die with her sister who consecrated the dead. I think it's some crazy relationship irony. Just as Creon robbed Haman of Antigone, his soon-to-be wife and lover, Haman's response to Creon's decision to kill Antigone, or to put her in a living grave, robbed Creon of Eurydice, the queen, and his lover, eventually killing off all the family. If men are supposedly superior to women, then how is a single woman's will and obedience to God rain down such devastation and death upon a royal family, and a man at that of a royal family, the king? Why would the gods side with an inobedient woman over a mighty king?
Well, the same way it seems to be how a lot of religions, well, I mean, you can relate it to Christianity, Jesus sided with the woman at the well rather than the people who are going to throw rocks at her. The gods tend, and stories, I mean, even parables that Jesus said, or stories that were told, usually the gods favored the smaller person that was trying to do some kind of right, rather than whoever was oppressing.
Yeah, she was doing the right thing.
I believe so too, but I believe that men are superior to women in some ways, but other ways women do have the upper hand on some things. I just think, well, I say that.
Got any examples?
No. I don't
Okay.
know. And then I want to talk about what a possible thing for Antigone is. What do you think Sophocles is trying to show us by him writing about a woman who defied a mighty king of a royal family? It could have been a man, it could have been another royal man, or just a regular man, but I think it's very ironic how a woman born of incest from Oedipus throws the whole royal family into a funk and eventually kills off the royal family just out of her actions alone.
I think it was to add to like the tragedy that the play was centered around. If it would have been just a man, Creon would have just sent him to die, like sentenced him to death, but like she was entwined with all these people that had such a big impact in Creon's life, like Haman, and you know, I feel like if it was a man, it wouldn't have made nearly as big of an impact. They would have just killed him and went on with it.
But what if Antigone would have been a brother? Would it made a bigger impact? I mean, obviously he wouldn't have been marrying Haman, but if it was a brother born out of incest and is mean, would it have made a difference?
Well, you asked what point Sophocles was trying to make with the story of Antigone. He had, and I hate that we're back on the story of men and women, but he had to use a woman to prove a point. It's like something that teaches you a lesson. You come out of it, well, the gods were in her favor. She was doing what she knew was right, and out of love for her brother, and she put herself on the line for him. And I think that the moral of the story is that if you know what the right thing to do is, and it's not being done, that you should do it at whatever cost. And it just so happens that he had to use a woman to display that, because yes, it would have, of course, we think it would have been different circumstances if it were a guy, but that's the whole point. That's what I think is the whole point of the story. Unfortunately, it had to be about a woman, because we're,
So you think it's
We can't get off the
coincidence they
subject.
used a woman?
well, no, it's not coincidence, like, he had to use Antigone, because it would have been it would have turned out differently.
Well, why not use a man?
Because, like everyone else says, Creon would have had, he wouldn't have been as harsh, because he was a man.
If it was a man, he probably would have died trying to take over Thebes like Antiochus and Polynices.
Yeah.
Right. But
So
the point of the story is that you should go to whatever extent you need to do what's right, especially when it comes to family. And he had to use Antigone, a woman, to get that point across because of the circumstances.
I think it's less for her brother and more for respect to the gods. Like that's, I mean,
Yeah.
it's nice that it doubles up, but had it been someone else, I don't know if she would have done it, but I think it was more because that's proper and that's what the gods would have done or whatever.
But at the same time, there's a second moral of the story. I feel like the other moral of the story is don't overdo it and don't let your pride get in the way. Because had Antigone waited possibly a few minutes before Creon discovered her death, she would have been set free. And if Antigone hadn't died, his son wouldn't have died, and also Eurydice would not have died either. So if pride had not gotten in the way, along with the do what you think is right and civil versus moral law, don't let pride get in the way, and that's